Good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today for the Institutional Advancement webinar for August. We are so grateful for Eric Peters being here today. He's the Vice President of Marketing and Chief Communications Officer at the Medical College of Virginia's Foundation. So he is not specifically situated in law, but he does work in a professional school environment. And I've seen his amazing presentation and enthusiasm, and I just thought it would be so great for our section. So Eric, thank you for joining us today. And if everybody could just hold your great questions until the end, we're going to have time where you can type them in the chat and we can ask Eric. So without further ado, Eric, I'll let you take it away.
Okay. Thank you, Heather. Thank you all for being here, for having me. I got to break my muscle memory here. I'm used to saying AAMC, which is or Association of American Medical Colleges, but AALS. I'm very happy to be here. And I'm actually presenting something similar to this at the AAMC conference in the winter. So I appreciate you all listening. And I think, as Heather said, it will be helpful to you all. As she said, this is my name and my title. What you see behind that title and the picture is kind of where I am. That's the medical campus of Virginia Commonwealth University. That's the main hospital there you see. And one of the tall buildings in the background, peeking out, the white one, is the building I'm in right now. On our campus, we have 6 schools of health sciences, so medical school, College of Health Professions, dentistry, nursing, pharmacy, and others. And then we have our main hospital. We have a comprehensive cancer center, and we also have a children's hospital. All of those entities, the 6 schools, the hospital, and the cancer center, except the children's hospital, are what our foundation supports. And so this campus used to be called the Medical College of Virginia. We merged with another institution to create VCU in 1969. So that's sort of the marketing hurdle I have to jump over every time we communicate to explain even who we are and why we're called MCV. But that's who we are and where I am, and I'll jump into it. So the agenda is I'll look at the challenge I'm presenting, the opportunity we've come up with here at the foundation, how this solution works, some examples, how we manage some demand and set boundaries for what we've come up with, and how we measure impact. And so to go back just a little bit, I told you that we support these schools and the hospital on this campus. And so much like normal foundations, the money that is raised on campus comes here, we invest it, and then we distribute it back out for professorships or research or scholarships or patient care, whatever it might be. We also do a little bit of fundraising, and then we also do our communications piece, which I'll talk a little bit more about. So when I became director of communications here, one of the first things I brought up, because I'd already been here in the foundation and on campus at a separate job for a long time, and this was one of the first things I presented to our CEO as this challenge I'm seeing that I think we can address, and it's that among fundraisers, the fundraisers on campus at the individual schools and hospital, they have a lot of great ideas that communications wise and stewardship wise that they just can't implement. They have limited access to communications resources. They have a constrained capacity. So again, they've got really great ideas, but they're a fundraiser, or they don't have a large team to implement some of the things, some of these thoughts that they have, whether it be videos to donors or direct mail pieces because they don't have designers, et cetera. And I'll get a little bit more into that in a minute. In looking for this communications help, one might think about the Central University Communications and Marketing team. But at many universities and here at VCU, that team while they do offer some services, those services could be slow or sometimes you have to pay for them. Generally, though, um, they are communicating and taking photos for and doing design for their overall brand. At VCU, it's called the Uncommon brand, and they're sort of dictating what they're doing. And so, for these individual ideas to communicate with donors, they don't really have a lot of time for that. The red slash is a little harsh, but they're that's what I'm giving them today. They get the red slash. Also, there's central development and alumni relations, which at our foundation, we are not the central fundraising source. We do some fundraising, but so central development and alumni relations often have their own communications apparatus, but they oftentimes are focused on the overall university campaign and the specific stewardship ideas, communicating directly with donors or doing targeted mail pieces just isn't something they have time for. So they get the red slash too in this presentation. There's also school and unit communicators. At all the 6 schools here at VCU on the medical campus have their own communicators, at least one, sometimes several, and I'm sure the law schools you're associated with do as well. The problem there is they're focused on a lot. Recruitment, internal communications, executive communications, branding, social media, development communications is a very small piece of their pie. So I don't fault them for not having a lot of time to help fundraisers. But this is where we saw the opportunity is we could help these school and unit communicators on our way to really the big thing or the big aim was to help these fundraisers at our schools and units because with their development communications, because us at the foundation, we care most about only about really development communications, not all the other stuff. So we already had some communications resources in place here because we were doing our own magazines and our own social media and our own website. So we already had a few capabilities that our school and unit communicators didn't. But we wanted to hire some more resources to help those fundraisers and help bring their ideas to light. So the opportunity was for us to act as a central communications resource. And this is sort of a very simple, silly diagram that I put together very quickly. But the point of it is, at our foundation, we are kind of bigger than the units on campus, but I made that central piece smaller because I want to drive home here and in other places throughout the presentation that in establishing ourselves as a central in-house communications agency where schools and units from across campus, when they have ideas about making a specific video for a donor to show impact of scholarships or a specific proposal that's designed really well, um, uh, we want to help them with that, but you don't need a big entity for that. You could perhaps share resources with other entities. So it doesn't have to be this big, massive foundation. It can be sort of a small group of shared people or resources. Um, um, so um, building on the point I just mentioned, it doesn't have to be a big centralized foundation. For example, central communications could simply add to part of what they're already doing, development focused projects. Our centralized communications function, they on purpose don't do development focused projects. But if they could see or realize some of the impact that development focused communications have, then maybe they could take time away from their overall branding and do a few targeted projects to for schools and units. Central development, they could, as part of what they do, because they are already talking about and doing fundraising communications projects, they could perhaps formalize a request system for individual fundraisers, which is what we did. We were already doing our own communications like central development would, but we said we broke off a piece, and you'll see this later, that said where we take ideas and requests from campus to do their individual projects and help bring their ideas to fruition. And then at the schools and units, they could perhaps share resources. So, for example, our School of Nursing does not need a videographer, but because the videographer we use and they use through us is housed at our foundation, it's sort of like they are sharing the resource. So our videographer might do one or two videos for nursing every year, but then they're also working on pharmacy and medicine and other schools throughout the year. So that shared resource, perhaps if deans want to get together and hire someone, or development directors have the resources to hire, across schools, and participate in some shared resources that way, that could be an option outside of the foundation approach that we've taken. And then there are central offices that maybe could do this. We have a vice president of health sciences who would maybe be open to hiring some resources for something like this, or maybe the provost's office. And of course, there are foundations. That's what we are. And they care a lot about fundraising. So convincing them that dedicating some communications resources to help individual schools could be very effective. So, and I'm going to come back to this slide because it's very important. I've gotten some feedback about this approach, that where a lot of people say, well, we don't have a foundation, or we don't have a big foundation that would do this. There are other options, but as you'll see, this is how we've done it at our foundation. So my communications team is split up into sort of a few different areas. We do publications, which is magazines, our website, and many other pieces. There's 6 publications. We do a lot. And so then we also do advertising under our brand for our foundation and social media. So that's what we were doing. And then we added on this creative development services, that's CDS, and special projects, where we take ideas from our schools and units on campus and from our own development team and help them with their projects. And so we've got sort of these 3 areas, and we have a big creative team that we pull from for each of these different areas. So we had some of this creative team in place to service the first 2 sort of columns there, but then we added a few more to help us continue doing that and service our schools and units with their projects. So you'll see on the left here, central communications, central development, and unit communicators. This is sort of going back to one of the points I made earlier. On the right, you see these are all the schools and units on our campus. And so how it's generally happening is central communications, central development, unit level communicators, they're doing great stuff. And then if that magazine article, or if that video happens to align with something a fundraiser is working on in dentistry and might be interesting tangentially or directly to a donor, then the fundraiser might say, hey, did you look at this video that Central Communications just made? It kind of has to do with what you're interested in. Take a look. So it's sort of all being dictated by these entities on the left. And so what we've done is we flipped it. And so we at the MCV Foundation are taking ideas and requests from our schools and units and saying, what exactly do you need? And you'll see some examples, but this can be design and video work for an alumni event. It could be direct communications with donors. It could be direct mail pieces. There's a whole plethora of things that it could be, but we want to know what the fundraisers' ideas are, because they They know best. And we think that if we can focus these communications projects on what they know they need instead of using just what happens to be available from these other entities on campus, it can be more effective. And we always focus on these communications projects can't be for recruiting. They have to start as development or donor stewardship projects. But as I'll mention a little bit later, it's it once we complete these projects, they're actually used by everyone on campus or the communicators, or it's shared, and we make it open, and many entities across campus outside of the original fundraiser can use it. So how does it work? Key principles are: this is free to our partners, because one of the rationale some of the rationale for creating it was not only are there no human resources for these communications projects, but there are no financial resources. Videos, for example, can cost up to 15, $20,000, and that's just not feasible. And so if we have this central videographer who is doing, many videos throughout the year, it it ends up working financially out, in our favor. We may be paying a certain salary, but if they're doing 15 videos, we're actually, giving campus $150,000 worth of creative work. But we're not paying $150,000 as a salary. That's just an example. But we're sort of adding value. I used to work at United States Department of Agriculture, Rural Development. We would give out grants for added value. And so that's essentially is someone taking uh, an, a crop and adding value to it. And so an example would be growing grapes and then turning it into wine. We'd give them grants for that. So it's kind of like what we're doing here is we're hiring these central creative resources, but they're actually providing to campus more um, work, financially speaking, than if these entities were just buying one-off videos throughout the year. Um, Hours are our currency, though. We can't just accept and do all of the requests that come in. So each unit on campus has a finite number of working hours that we allot to them each year, and that allows us to keep the requests in check, but it also ensures that what they're asking us for is strategic, because it's not just unlimited work. It's finite, as I said. And we do have some funding available for printing or distribution, that we can help with. If we design a mailer, we have a little bit of money that we can help them print or help them distribute, things like that. And we focus, as I said, on stewardship and fundraising, but then all campus communications benefit from it. Oftentimes, we'll do a great story on the impact of giving, and it will be used directly with a donor, for example. But then after that, the unit communications will put it on their social media, on their website, and then even the university will put it on their news website because it's really high quality work, and it's actually just really good storytelling. And so everyone can use it, but it's got to start in fundraising. And so the process looks like we have like this. We have a fiscal year kickoff with individually with each of our units, our partners on campus. Then after that, we just let them know we're here. These are your hours. Just remind them that we exist and that they should come to us. Then throughout the year, they'll send us requests. We'll have planning meetings based on those requests. We'll write up a project agreement that has due dates, other parameters like only a certain number of rounds of edits, so we don't get stuck in, editing purgatory. And then we do the creative development, then we deliver for fundraising and stewardship, and then really, like I said, the projects are repurposed across the university, and then we evaluate at the end of the year with surveys. A project agreement, I made it in Word. It's a really simple document. As I said, we got, start dates, completion dates, how many hours this will take, if it will take up any budget for printing or distribution, project description, things like that. And that's really helpful just to make sure that, halfway through, um, expectations aren't changed. So we manage the expectations with this. And so here, the fun part, I'll show you some examples. One is our School of Dentistry, which their former dean, who's pictured there on the left, and his wife, they gave a gift, and the School of Dentistry wanted to leverage that gift by creating a matching challenge. And so they came to us and said essentially that. And this was one of the first projects we ever did a few years ago. And they said, you've got this new service. How can you help us with this match? We probably want to send out a mailer of some sort, but let us know what you can do. And so what we did was we took photos, we designed this mailer, which I guess was like postcard size and folded in half. And then the rest of the strategy was, after we sent out the mailer, we used the distribution list to follow up with an email. And in that email was a link to this video I'm about to show you. What we also did was, since we had all those email addresses, we advertised to those email addresses on Facebook with the video and with images from this designed mail piece. And so here is the video.
To be a national leader in dental education, we have to be part of the knowledge generation. And clinical and translation research is a good platform.
Day-to-day bread and butter clinical dentistry on how well does this filling material work? Does this technique give me a better outcome than this other technique? There's not funding sources for those, unfortunately, in dentistry, and they are the most common problems that dentists experience and that patients experience.
To start off with some big funding like this would help the faculty and get their feet wet on research, and hopefully that will make you springboarded to get more funding from external sources.
We're always trying to improve materials and also learn about them so we can be better clinicians and then have our patients have really good care. I am so grateful that we have donors. It basically tells me that someone is rooting for us and that people really care about where dentistry is going.
I hope it helped create some people like me who will continue to be interested in these problems.
And hopefully in the future, everybody who wants to do clinical trial or clinical research will look at VCU as the place to do clinical research.
And so that went well. And again, it was repurposed on the School of Dentistry website and social media. And I'm not sure if that one was on the university news page, because also whenever we do one of these videos, we write an article with it so that it can live on our web pages, our website as well, because all of this I forgot to mention, we use to populate our website, our news section, our social media. So it's a win-win really for everyone. Here's a project we've been working on for the School of Pharmacy. There are a lot of pharmaceutical companies moving into the state, and they just received a large donation from one of those companies for scholarships. And so they want to go to the other companies that are already here and the companies that are coming to present them with opportunities to also support scholarships and to, in general, partner with the School of Pharmacy. And so this is like an 8.5 by 11 with one fold on it. So the front and then the inside spread and then the back, and it's still pink in some areas because we're not quite done. But they plan on taking this out and essentially doing corporate relations, making connections with industry, and sort of, as you know, it's a conversation starter and a leave behind. And so that the last one and this one are sort of in the realm of direct asks or campaigns. there's also individual stewardship we've helped with. And this first video is, I believe, has to do with, let's see. Yeah. There are some major donors to our medical campus. Our School of Medicine building is named after them. And they give, most recently, have given a lot of money to provide full ride scholarships to a whole cohort of medical students each year. So the School of Medicine came to us and said, hey, we want to introduce them to some of these members of the cohort that they're supporting. And we want to show the impact. We want to maybe follow these students for a year or so and just and then use this video to go back to the donors at the end, show them, thank them. But then also what happened was by the time it was time to have that meeting, show them this video, thank them, they also wanted to make a new ask. And so by the time they left that meeting, they had secured another $5 million donation. And they reported back to us that when the wife of this couple saw the video, she cried. And so we didn't raise that $5 million, but I think we sure helped. We sure helped at least thank them, and maybe we helped inspire them to make that additional gift.
My son was just playing with his toys, and I was just noticed I got some new emails, so I checked it. I could hardly believe it. In fact, there was part of me that wouldn't let me believe it at first, just in case it wasn't real.
I saw the news of the scholarship, and it was just kind of an immediate shock.
And even today, like, sometimes I can't believe that it's real.
It was the fact that someone believed in me enough that they were telling me that I want you at the school.
The McLaughlin gift has been both historic and inflectional. Historic because we simply haven't had a gift like this. But why is it inflectional? We are changing lives. These students that we're recruiting are not just going to be clinicians, teachers, or educators. They're going to be leaders.
It's not just affecting one person. Giving that opportunity to someone who otherwise wouldn't have it can, save the people's lives that they are going to work with.
Go across your chest with the other arm.
Scholarships provide that avenue for people helping to build those communities and take care of those communities, eventually become a part of them as well.
I would love to make a difference. I know it's hard for just one person to do that, but that's my goal. My gap year, I was in Washington working for the Washington Conservation Corps. We did a lot of habitat restoration. My goal is to somehow connect my passions to medicine and the environment. Now with the scholarship, I can definitely just focus on what I really care about and not worrying about how am I going to pay back my loans.
The McLaughlin's gifts are really geared toward nurturing top talent and fostering the very best of excellence that you'll find anywhere in this country. Their support has really moved the needle for student and faculty recruitment. Our McLaughlin partnership really keeps us at the forefront of medical education excellence, and it inspires us to continue to achieve VCU's greatest potential.
It's good knowing that people believe in me. Believing in yourself is awesome, but having others believe in you it's even better.
It means so much it's hard to almost quantify. It gains value the more I sit with it, the more I think about it, and I just feel so fortunate to receive such a gift.
So in many ways, this is not just a legacy in giving. It's a legacy in career building. It's a legacy in taking care of patients. And it's really a legacy of sending out love to our community.
Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. McLaughlin, for making my dream come true.
I'm first generation high school graduate, college graduate, and now medical school graduate, and I could not fund this without you.
It means so much to me and my family. I'm so appreciative to be here at VCU.
It helps me know that I can actually make a difference.
I will be forever grateful and always do my best to pay it forward and give it back.
You've made a monumental difference at this institution, and your impact goes way beyond our campus.
As As a Dean of the School of Medicine, I want to thank you not just for your inspiring gift and for a legacy that will endure us all, but the expression of love, gratitude, and commitment. We simply cannot do it without you.
And so what we were able to do with that one as well is that was the cut that we showed directly to the McLaughlins, but then we cut it differently, mainly without all those direct thank yous at the end. And again, School of Medicine used it on their website and social media. We used it, the university used it. So we cut it and edited it a little bit differently for a broader sort of scholarship impact approach rather than specifically about the McLaughlins. There's also another example of individual stewardship is the Massey Comprehensive Cancer Center here on campus recently came to us and said, we've got this great program that's supported by the McKesson Foundation. They gave us a $940 or $80 million or $1,000 gift. And again, they wanted to thank the foundation. So they wanted a video to show to the foundation, but then they also wanted to show impact so that they could perhaps get more from more future giving from that foundation. As we were working on the project, it occurred to them, wait, we could use this also to inspire gifts from other corporate partners, other foundations. So even before we were done with the video, we had the article and the photos made, taken already. And they said, hey, we've got this meeting coming up with, I don't remember the other organization, but do you have anything you could print for us and we could leave it behind? And they just actually wanted like a Word document. And we said, no, we can design it a lot better for you. So what we did was like a 4 or 8 page booklet of all the photos and the article we wrote. So I'll show you that. That's the cover. This is Food is Medicine. So the program is based on the fact that many cancer patients are food insecure. And so this program is helping them get the food they need to heal and be healthy. And so that's the cover, an inside spread, and more of the spreads inside. There's teaching programs about how to cook. And so we gave that to them and they took it with them to their meeting, and the outcome of that is yet to be determined. But this is the print piece we made for them. And again, this is right now on Massey Cancer Center's website, the university's news website. And this is the video that we made for it.
Deep breath. Nice and relaxed.
Cancer is a beast. I'm still technically in active treatment, and it's been 1.5 years. I was a critical care paramedic like since the 80s. It's like, oh, there's an issue. Let me help you. Let me figure it out. You know, and that's just kind of been my thing. But I couldn't figure this out.
Without, again,
medical bills weren't the problem, but it was like, what are we gonna do now for our other bills? And then it just got to where we literally wouldn't have food in the house.
So, how are you doing?
The rate of food insecurity among cancer patients is much higher than the general population. When you have cancer, you can't really work full time, right? So your income, your disposable income goes down, but the needs of your family don't. And we did a survey here at VCU, and at least 1/3 are food insecure. To try to understand how we can address this, we applied for a large McKesson grant, and that's how the Food is Medicine initiative started. Patients on active treatment who are food insecure can go to the Food Resource Center. We provide food boxes supplied through Feed More.
Then there was also like information about food pantries, and they gave me like coupons. You could take it to Shalom Farms and buy like fresh fruit and fresh vegetables. It's wonderful.
There's cooking classes, nutrition classes.
So generally eating more colors, so getting different colored fruits and vegetables, getting in healthy beans is also going to have biochemicals that are going to help protect your body against hopefully developing these cancers.
The goal is to demonstrate that doing this has a really positive impact on people, their well-being, their lives, and it actually increases their ability to tolerate their cancer treatment and adhere to treatment.
What kind of beans are these?
Those are grape northern.
I tell you, I know my stuff.
Being in an environment where you're not alone makes a big difference.
My body doesn't crave the chemo, for sure. My body doesn't crave radiation. My body doesn't crave, any of the pills that I take, but my body craves food. Food is medicine is like the perfect name because it's true. It's a much more vital medication than anything else because none of the other stuff would matter if I didn't have something to eat. Well, thank you so much. I didn't choose to be a cancer patient. I chose to be a Massey patient. When I come here, people know what's going on in my world. This is not just a place to come for medical treatment. This is a place to come to heal.
So we've got a really great video team and a really great writer, interviewer who, that was a really great patient there, but she was able to pull out some of those quotes in those interviews. And then our video team is really great. So I have to give them all the credit for that. And then one other thing we've done is government relations. We have something called Medicines for All here, which essentially reworks the chemistry in generic drugs to reduce the cost and the waste and to improve the availability. And so they're really important. It's actually the reason a lot of those pharmaceutical companies are coming to the state. And so the last year they had in the state budget, they had managed to have somebody add into the state budget $18 million to support their programming. And they wanted to ensure that throughout the process of the legislative session that stayed in the budget. And so we're right across the street actually here from the state legislature. So they wanted, again, like an 8.5 by 11 leave behind with some key information about their power and their impact on the state and on health. And so we put this together for them, and they took it across the street to the state legislature, and it was a leave behind. It was a conversation starter, and the money ended up staying in the budget. So we didn't get the money in the budget, and we don't take the credit for all of these outcomes, but we like to say that we were a tremendous help, and we at least provided something that helped start the conversation between these fundraisers and the people who they're communicating with. There's also alumni relations. So this is one more. And this is important because when I've submitted this before to conferences, I just started submitting it. But some of the feedback has been, there's no alumni relations component here. There's no alumni relations component. Well, there is. So it was the 75th anniversary of the Department of Health Administration celebration. And they're a department within the College of Health Professions. So getting a lot of communication support from the university or from development alumni relations was not really happening. So they came to us and they asked us for help with design. So we designed their programs, their invitations, their digital signage at the event. And their PowerPoint presentation, so it could all sort of look the same. And we made a video for them, which I'll show you next. An important piece of this is it was a 75th anniversary event where a lot of alumni came. So on its face, it's an alumni relations project in that sense. But then also, they have some really high profile alumni who did come or maybe couldn't come, but the fact that we included them in this video and showed them that we thought they were important enough to come to Washington, D.C. or Norfolk, Virginia, wherever they were, to interview them and let them be part of this. That also was a form of alumni relations, letting them actually be in the video or inviting them to be in the video. So it was sort of a couple different ways to get at the alumni relations piece. And you'll see that video that they showed at the event here.
Health administration program has always had an incredible reputation. Coming here, you could really feel the energy and commitment to the department from the students, from the faculty. And I think one of the differentiators is the level of engagement from our alumni community. As mentors, as donors, as advocates for the program.
This remarkable tapestry of alumni that are placed in healthcare, not only across the country, but around the world. And those connections are deep and meaningful, and that in turn creates a context that's unbelievably rich for the students and frankly the faculty and everyone in between. Had the opportunity to lead the VA health system, to have the privilege of working with Richard Bracken, a remarkable alumnus, and I now have the opportunity to run the Joint Commission and Joint Commission International. None of those things would have occurred without that alumni network.
In terms of giving, they have supported so many different initiatives and scholarships that our students and faculty have benefited from.
We were at the American College of Healthcare Executives Conference with second-year students. I looked around the room and I saw how much joy that they had because they had that opportunity. And when a second-year student asked me to contribute, it was a no-brainer. For anyone who is considering giving, find what is that passion for you? Is it research? Is it making sure we have the best faculty? Is it making sure we have the best students where we can offer scholarships? And my giving is in part to help the students know that I believe in them, I believe in their potential, I believe in the impact that they're going to make in this industry. When you create a hunger for excellence in people, they'll continue to take that forward.
That makes the Alumni Network so special is they also provide a lot of time to sit down with current students because they want to invest in the next generation of healthcare leaders.
As a mentor, we learn something that we hadn't learned before. As being a mentee, we are absorbing so much institutional knowledge.
Our alumni play a critical piece in our third-year residency to serve as a mentor and guide that student's experience.
It's a great way to help people really see the true value of healthcare, not just from the clinical side, not just from the managerial administrative side, but also, in our case at Riverside, from the community side. The student gets a great education and the health system gets really great, talented people and see where they might fit in the organization to help it go forward.
I ended up growing up in foster care. For me to be in a grad school program, it's less than a 1% chance of me being able to make it to that point in my life. And these mentors, the doors that they open, it does not just help that one person, it helps every single other person that person touches.
Having alumni engagement, our students are able to see the various pathways that their careers can take them.
You know, when you look back, getting, a master's, it set my career. I mean, it really did.
If I can help make one step for a student, I want to do that.
And I know that the students, the training they get coming out of Virginia Commonwealth University, prepare them not just to be good, but to be excellent. And that's what we really need in healthcare.
And you saw a few different sort of chapters in that one. It was alumni involvement, giving, mentorships. They gave us sort of that framework that they wanted included. I think it was a lot longer at first, and we sort of worked with them to say, what are your top three? That's what's going to be most feasible. So we're working, really, it's a partnership working to get the people. They introduced us and let us know all the people who they wanted involved, but also the structure of it sort of, and then we can sort of come back and forth and say, well, maybe if we do this or that, it can go more quickly, or it can be more impactful. And so how do we manage demand and set boundaries? We set scope and timing limits. Like I said, a certain number of edits. We set end dates, and we expect, we expect our partners to follow through with things like if they're going to introduce us to a donor or an alum who lives in DC and we need to go interview them, then they need to let us know, by a certain date, so that we can move the process forward. So we sort of take care of all that at the front end. We prioritize and reserve time for all of the units on campus so that no one gets left out. And we avoid becoming an on-demand shop by giving everyone a finite number of hours, like I said. And measuring impact, we survey partners at the end of the fiscal year. We ask two quick quantitative questions, rate us from 1 to 5 on a couple things, and then qualitative. Is there anything else you'd like to say? And what we do is we use that feedback to send to the board, to report back to my board to justify the existence of this thing. And there's been some really great qualitative feedback that we've gotten, including, this is the best service offered at the university. We couldn't do these things without you all. Some really great stuff that's gratifying to us, but then also helps us, keep doing this and show the importance to our board. And we do measure how much funding comes in from these projects, but it's not the only thing we look at, because some of it's just stewardship. And, as you know, fundraising is a continuum. And so it might plant the seed today, but we don't know how it might, how that might affect someone's giving down the line. But, if it's a direct mail piece, we can count that. Or if someone commits $5 million right after seeing a video before leaving the meeting, we count that, so we don't hang our hat on it, but we do count it, and we never take credit for it. We just say we were, helping. This is sort of what the end of year report looks like. And again, this is the slide I told you I was going to show you again. It doesn't have to be a central foundation doing this. It can be central communications actually taking an interest in development-focused projects. It could be central development stepping away from their campaign for a moment and taking individual requests from fundraisers. Schools and units could share resources, cooperate on sharing designers or videographers or whatever it might be. And central offices like vice presidents or provosts might also be interested in helping fund those shared resources. And if you've got foundations, ask them too. And any questions?
Wow, that was just so amazing, Eric. Thank you for sharing the videos, and it's just really inspiring to see that high quality work and development. Thank you for sharing what you've done. So yeah, if you have any questions, please type it into the chat for Eric, and I'd be happy to read those out. Thank you all for being here. I know for some of you it's your lunchtime. For some of you, you're just starting the day. It's just great to have this many folks right before school is starting or as school is starting. Okay, there's our first one. How many people do you have working on the videos?
So our team is 7, but we're growing to 9 this week and next. We have 2 videographers and a photographer, but each individual video is generally 2 people on camera in the interview part, and a writer, which is either me or the writer we have on staff, sitting asking the questions. So it's like 3 people out doing those interviews. And then when you see the B-roll of people in class or doing research, it's usually just one videographer will go out and capture that B-roll and come back and use it in the edit. Also, I'll say that a lot of that B-roll we're sharing. So what we get in the process, the footage we get in the process of making these videos, or the photos, if we're doing like a mailer, we share back with the university and with the units so they can use it any way they want. And it goes both ways. Sometimes the unit will have like a bank of B-roll of students that they let us use, so we can use that when we're editing, so we don't have to go out and always get fresh new shots. But I think that having 2 camera people there for the interviews, that's kind of a luxury. You could do it with 1 camera person and 1 interviewer. And then the camera person would go out and, on their own and get that B-roll. And when they get back to the office, the writer will usually write their story and the videographer will edit their story, and they will be working separately. But if they ever get like writer's block or editor's block, they often come together and say, how did you start this story? Or they work together, but it's sort of 2 distinct pieces that they come back and do.
That's awesome. So it's a true investment in deciding to do this process. I know a lot of folks on the call are 1-person shops, so they would love to be able to do this. Could you talk a little bit about how you advocated for this model, and was it hard to get those resources?
So like I said, we were already doing some of our own work. So we didn't, so we had really any communications person at your school or unit is probably going to be a writer at least. And then they might have photo or video skills. And so we were writing and doing our own video. And then we hired a videographer and a designer who could do it a lot better than us. And so to advocate for that, we presented essentially the need to our board. We made sure we met with VP of Communications, VP of Development, and the individual schools and units to make sure we weren't stepping on anyone's toes, and that this would be additive and not overstepping in any way. But when we went to the board, we said, this is a need. We've talked to campus. We simply believe that this can make an impact, and this is why there are so many projects out there that could get done. And we showed them some projects that we had already done, that we told them, these are, if we can hire someone who just does videography, this video is going to get 10 times better. If we can hire a designer, this design piece we've done in the past is going to get 10 times better. And essentially it was, trust us, they need this. And then we had the support of campus saying that they didn't come themselves, but we sort of relayed their message that it would be useful. And then a critical point was after that first year, when we reported back the qualitative and the quantitative results of our survey, and we lucked out that a lot of money came in that we were able to sort of count as us helping with, because there was some major donors who were stewarded through videos and like thank you books that ended up renewing their gifts. And so we were able to count that and say, we're making an impact. And like the person at the fundraiser at School of Nursing, I think it was that year, said, this is the single most important stewardship project that we do, and we couldn't do it without the foundation. And so that sort of solidified after that first year that we were onto something, and that it was helpful, but it took a little bit of trust.
Yeah, that's amazing that you have, as you said, both the qualitative and quantitative outcomes that you can share, because we all know that these kind of pieces have a great impact, and they quickly have an ROI on them too. Okay, well, if there's any other questions, this is your last chance before we let Eric go. Thank you again for donating your time and dedicating all of your energy to us today.
Thank you all for having me.